Hey everybody, it's Monster Art School time again, and so today we are going to do I guess it's going to be a Lizard Man Warrior. So, I don't know why, that's what I wanted to do today. So that's what we're going to draw. Alright, so let's start this out. From the beginning, what we're going to do is going to try and get the general movement of the figure down. So he's got to be a lizard, so he's going to be kind of fluid. So I'm going to have his head tilted this way, and then his body tilted that way, and then maybe his legs come like so. So you're going to be like, what the heck is that, Steve? And you'll see in a sec. What we're going to do is we're going to create a head here, and then we'll put the shoulders here and here. Create a chest that goes this way. We'll bring this down to a hip like this. We'll get this arm to move forward, and this leg to move backward like that. And we'll have this arm come out like so. And I'm figuring these guys have really long arms, so I'm going to give them, like, I don't know why, really long, extended arms. I think he's more of a dragon man than anything else, so anyway. Legs like this, legs down here. So a lot of what we want to do is we want to focus on where we're putting the joints at this point. So we want to have the joints, these balls represent where the joints go. Hi, Brian. And then we'll bring foot back, or feet back, I guess. Oh, that's weird. So I can't look at my live video on my Facebook while I'm doing it. Okay, weird. All right. Oh, it is. Okay, cool. So I can do that. All right. Sorry, I'm just going to check this out so I can actually see what I'm doing. So now, oh, that's crazy. All right. Let me see if that works. I don't know. Anyway, so now we're going to bring a... we're going to create the knee over here, right behind his leg, and bring the leg back. I mean, right behind his arm, and bring that leg back. A lot of times when I'm drawing these loose armatures up, I just kind of getting the basic idea of what I want. So his hand would be here. His other hand would be over here. So as long as I get the loose sense of movement, that's what I'm looking for here. And the major loose sense of movement is this movement down the spine. So now I can start to develop like where the hips go. So the hips, I'll think about it like a shape, like a pair of underwear, like that. You got to really think three-dimensionally and kind of get this to look like you've got sockets almost for the legs to come into. And then you're going to draw cylinders that reach out like this. Cylinder will probably meet out here somewhere, and then we'll have a knee section here. So just like this, we'll have a knee section there. And then we'll bring a cylinder back to the heel. And I'm thinking these guys have kind of, what I forget what they call them, legs that turn back on themselves. So we'll have this go to its ankle and then bring it out to like some big dinosaur-like feet. So think about this as like a big triangle here. Don't really like that big triangle. We'll bring it out like that. And then we'll do another triangle here for this foot. Okay, so now let's get to filling in the body here. So as we fill in the body, we know we have our chest tilted this way. So always remember where the center of your body is. There's the chest there, center of the chest, and there's the center of the pelvis. So this is facing this way and that's facing that way. Just keep that in mind as you're drawing because you want to keep those angles going. We've got his head. We have it in this direction here. So let's draw the center of that head down like this. And yeah, and again, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask. I can actually answer them because I've got it set up now that I can do that. What we're going to do is we're going to draw kind of imagine a watermelon shape here for the head. And then about halfway through, we'll create a line across like that. And down here, I would say create kind of a soft triangle that meets back here, comes up, and comes under here. So we can get the sense that the front of the face is going to be like that. So you're really creating something that's going backward into space like so. And his neck is going to come out and kind of bend around to meet the clavicle right here. So you can have this nice curve like so. So now let's get the front of that nose in there. And I think I want to give him kind of a dragony nose. So right up here, let's just draw a flat two-dimensional as opposed to three-dimensional kind of triangle with no point here. We'll just give it a... We could actually make it point a little more. So bring it in like so. And then we'll have the mouth meet that like this. And since these are going to be flared out nostrils, we'll actually draw the nose in here. So think about that as a flat plane on top. So we've changed directions like this here. Now that means the eyes are going to be right here and here. So we can draw in some nice, cool big eyes. And think about them as eye sockets before you draw in any eyes. So you want to give the sense of the eye socket, which the eye socket will define a couple different things for you. The eye socket will give you the brow ridge here. The eye socket will give you the cheekbone here and here. And it'll define the interior of the nose. And it'll create this thing that we call the keystone right here between the eyes. It's basically the area between your eyes that your nose, this is the bridge of your nose. So we have that there. Let's give him some crazy, let's go down to the mouth. We're going to come down here. I'm going to kind of give him a little bit of like a dragony beak mouth. Then we're going to come up, down, kind of thinking like an alligator mouth. Back, down, back, like that. And then for the lower, and that'll be the upper jaw. And then the lower jaw, we already kind of created this ellipse here for the lower jaw. So let's keep that. But then let's add triangle to the bottom here. And maybe we'll create an ellipse there. So we have a nice like chin. And then the jaw goes in here, kind of like Arnold Schwarzenegger's jaw does. Not that it really goes in like that, I'm just being silly. Goes in here and then comes back out with the muscle that forms the jaw right here. And then we'll bring it up to the back of the head where the jawbone would be meeting right behind the ear, right back here. So you'd have something set up like that. And then, let's see. Once we have that kind of a shape, we can start to think about where do the teeth go. So we'll have the teeth in here. And I would just treat those teeth like triangles, but try to create a pattern for them. So the pattern usually is, you have some big canine, or lower in this case, lower teeth that kind of fit on either side of the mouth. They're equally. And then you have smaller teeth here. Maybe we can have some other teeth that are a little bit less even through here. And then we'll do the same with the upper teeth here. We'll just kind of come down. Now, if you think about it, those canine type teeth, I don't like these ones. They're too rounded. So we'll bring them like this, like that there. We'll get a nice big canine tooth right here. Let the nose come down, and then we'll bring some more teeth, hide them a little bit behind this cheek, and then we'll go, or the skin flap, the lips, and we'll go like that. Maybe on this side, I think this guy should have a tongue that kind of lolls out of his mouth like this. So think about it like a ribbon. So we're going to draw, this is the side. This side comes behind it. And then it's going to go around like that. So we have like a nice, nasty lizard tongue kind of hanging out of his mouth. So notice how it's like a ribbon. This side here, and then this side becomes the underside. And the underside becomes the top side here. And then we can reverse that down here. So now let's get some eyes in there. So right now we have the eye socket. Let's get the eye in. Make the eye just a little bit smaller. And I would choose like an egg shape or an oval. And then you put like a point on it here for the tear duct. And then you can give it a point back there. Over here we're not going to see that much. So we'll just see kind of we'll see like the rounded edge of this eye here and maybe the lower eyelid that we see there. We can have the upper eyelid here. Hey, Dave. There's a lot of people today. A lot of new people. So now I'm going to, here where we drew those kind of brows, we're going to get those brows in. We're going to bring them up and around. We're going to turn them into kind of horns. Because why not? So we'll have it come around over the temple here. Come out like that. Because I want this guy to look scary. Oh, I forgot to mention the nostrils. So let's get, just draw kind of an ellipse in the nose there. And then you can bring it out around those flared out nostrils like that. Okay. Now, next step is, let's go back here and start to think about this guy having some kind of a ridge on his back. Like that. Maybe this guy's more of a dinosaur guy than a dragon guy. I don't know. He's a little bit of both. And we'll put, since his jaw is right here, we'll put the edge of those outer spines right along like this. And what that means is, as it comes around and under here, we're going to see I had to fix that. We're going to see these spines coming around into where his arm's going to come out under here. So the neck is really kind of coming out over that clavicle and that chest area here. Now that's a deltoid. I'm imagining his shoulders here, so his deltoid's going to be there, and the clavicle comes down like that. So then the opposite deltoid would be here. And now we're going to bring this curve around like this. Now I kind of wanted this guy to be more flexible than a normal person. So I'm giving him kind of this curve to his body, almost snake-like curve. So in so doing, we got to make sure that the center of his body stays the same. So if this is the center of his body, we need it to curve around like that. So we need to kind of imagine the other side of his ribs are here, and then the other side of his hip is here. And that way, under here, this will be kind of extended on this side and twisted this way. And this side is kind of coming down and pinching under here. So you're going to get a lot of compression on this side. So it'll kind of come around like this and then like so. So now here with the arm, let's go and refocus on that cylinder that makes up the arm. So you want to draw the sections or segments of the cylinder out here like that to give us that sense that this arm is coming toward us. And then we'll angle from the elbow, we'll angle it this way. Maybe not that way, maybe more like this way. So you want to angle it so that the ellipses go back like this. And you have this kind of nice foreshortening going on. And you draw these ellipses in there so you can figure out how to foreshorten it. That always helps with foreshortening. And of course, I don't do this in every drawing because I know what I'm doing after having done it for multiple times. But I figured if you guys see me doing this, you might get the practice in. And you'll know what I'm doing a little bit better. So I think I need to rework that leg a little bit because it's a little too high. So I think I'm going to bring it down to here. And we'll fix that a little bit in post later on. Now let's get that other arm in. So if that's that deltoid, this muscle group here, we're going to bring that tube out here like so. I want to see the inside of this. And then as we draw the elbow in, I'm going to have this coming forward too. And we'll have the hand coming at us like that. So again, with that foreshortening. Now this leg, we're going to do the same. It's going to come toward us. So we're imagining, that's why we draw those cross sections in there, just so you can see that. And this leg is kind of, because the hips are doing this leg is going to be kind of tilted a little bit away from us for the most part. And we'll get the knee in here. Want to make sure these are approximately the same distance. Now I know this will be a little longer because we foreshortened this leg, but we want to be able to see everything. So I'll bring this leg down. With the lower leg here, let's have that tilt away from us a bit so we can have this go. So we're seeing the tops of these cylinders, or of these cross sections going back till we get to an ankle formation here, and then we can get the foot out like this. And when you get down to the bottom where the foot touches the ground, that's where you put I'm going to have 3 toes. Those are not going to be the toes, those are the knuckles. But I want to have that in. And then with this leg, we're going to have this go back. Again, same situation. See how this is? We're looking at the tops of these cross sections. We're going to look at the tops of the cross sections, but they're going to go back even further. So it'll have more of a, more foreshortening going on. And then we'll have the foot come forward and we'll just put, I'm just going to draw these 3 toes there. And on here we'll throw 2 toes. We're not going to see the third one because it's behind. Anyway, now let's see. Once we get this done, we're going to get the hands in. So I'm going to have his hands, rather than having them like aggressively at us, I'm going to have his hands kind of down, like he's getting prepared to pounce. So we'll be looking at the front of his wrist, kind of like if you do this with your hand. So we'll be looking at the front of his wrist, and he'll have his knuckles like this. And we'll see his thumb out here. And on this side, here we'll have a hand that's coming toward us. So draw a cone shape that we're looking at the bottom of here. And then you can put a bubble over here for the thumb muscle. And we can throw the thumb out here. Remember the knuckles on the thumb. And you're going to want 1, 2, 3. And I made them like this because I want that middle one to be really high. In fact, I'm going to fix that over here because I want the middle one to be a little longer than the rest. Just because I want it to be like the middle finger, which is longer than the rest of our fingers. So now we can, I'm just going to decorate this a little bit over here and over here, just so I know what I'm kind of getting into with that. I think his eye, let's make his eyes a little smaller. I like the socket size, but I think the bigger eyes make him look a little too cartoony, and I want this guy to look a little scary. So we'll bring his eyes in a little bit smaller, like so. That way we can really build on the threat of this character. Now, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll draw a lot of extra lines in, and then I do what I call ghost erasing, where I kind of just erase lightly over the surface. And the idea is to kind of give myself the ability to erase without losing everything underneath. And that kind of just lets me see what I did before if I want to recreate it. So there we go. Now I'm happy with that eye. I felt like it was just too big before. I'm going to bring these in. We'll have these come down like so over his eyebrows like that. Hey Ben, how you doing, man? So now we've got these horns. We'll put some armor up over here. Think about things that wrap around the body. Think about them kind of like ribbons, right? How does it wrap around like that and go behind? So if you were to put a ribbon over his shoulder or a piece of paper over his shoulder, how would it fall around? Like so. So if he's wearing armor, it would be like pieces like that over the shoulder. So now, let's see here. Let's get the center in here of the body. And I gave this guy big hips because I figured he's a lizard reptile kind of guy, and I kind of always think of birds' hips. They have that whole thing of dinosaurs having bird hip dinosaurs. So I thought it'd be kind of neat for his hip to come all the way up like this. So we'll give him this kind of crazy big hip bone that comes out like that, and then the rest of this part of his body would kind of fit within that hip bone. And then we can go around like this. Now I'm going to just start making up some muscles, not actually making them up, but using human muscles as a model. So we'll have a top muscle here, we'll have another one that wraps around here. They all make sense, they all have jobs. So like, well, there's one muscle that's going to come from back here and wrap around like this. So that's going to be this muscle right here, and you want it to come into the knee here because it's doing the job of connecting your hip to your knee, and all of these are kind of doing that. This one's going to be bulging out because it's being compressed. So, and then we get the knee bone here, and you can draw bones with a little bit more squared edges on them, things like that. So then to replicate this over here, let's see, we'd have like a muscle that comes out from the center of the pelvis into the leg like that. You'd have one that comes underneath like so, one that goes over the top, and one that comes like this. So that now you have essentially the muscles that should lead into the knee here. And why I do that is because, and you may not see that in my final drawing, but I do that so that I know where all the landmarks are, so that when I'm drawing I have a good concept of where everything goes. So I'll get rid of all that detail, but I'll have it there for later on. So now let's throw some lats in here behind the arms. Let's get these biceps in, the brachialis in, tricep, bicep. The brachialis connects the two, so it comes like so. You have your bicep back here, your tricep back here. You got your pronators over here that are kind of wrapping around to hold the arm together and allow the arm to curve. I actually think maybe this hand should be a little bit more like this. Okay, now I have to switch my pencils because my eraser's dying on that one. So now we've got this reptile dude. I think he needs a tail. So let's bring a tail around like so. And then remember ankles. Think of ankles like they're dumbbells. So there's one on each side, and they're kind of connectors between the upper leg and the foot. Okay, so you have to have one on each side like that. And then you're going to have that main toe is going to have metacarpals that lead up to it. And so are the smaller toes. So you're going to have that kind of a shape. Then you're going to have pads under here. And you're going to get this kind of top shape here like that. And with these knuckles, I'm going to bring them down. And I think this hand is going to be the less important hand in the piece. It's just going to it's going to have his hand into a fist, or whatever approximates a fist for a lizard guy. So he'll have his hands like this. Have his knuckles here, like that. Have it like so. That works. And just remember, you have to think about where these fingers come from, and they extend down the whole arm like this. So you want to make sure that you're thinking about where all that stuff goes, because everything that's up here is connected to something back here. So you want to make sure that you are keeping track of those connections. So now we've got a lot of the creature pretty much done here. This is the time, like, if I was doing this regularly on a job, see my crazy eraser? So I have to fix the eraser like this. If I was doing this on a job, I would pull out my crazy light box. My crazy light box? My light box. And I would just kind of start getting rid of extra lines and stuff. So instead, I'm going to do this with my eraser here. But you can see that what'll happen is, as I'm going, I just kind of get rid of stuff that I don't want. So I think this here I'm going to bring down, make it a little bit more threatening and angry, because, you know, he's an angry dragon man. I guess, you know, he's persecuted, he's not very happy about the way he's treated when he walks down the street, so he's kind of ticked off at the world. Wouldn't you be? So we'll give him some anger lines here. And, you know, maybe it's just that he just looks angry even when he's happy. Maybe this is happy dragon man, and that's just as nice as he gets. I don't know. So let's throw some lines in here to really accentuate that lower lid. Maybe we make this into a ridge, kind of thinking bone, in a way that, like, creatures like goats and things have ridges on their horns. I mean, you know, lizards don't really have horns, right? So why do we put horns on dragons? Probably because if you look back at myths, dragons are generally often part lion, part goat. They're like an amalgam creature. They're more of a chimera than they are a lizard. The lizard thing has kind of been more of a recent creation, probably because of dinosaurs. But if you go back, like, dragons frequently have dog features and lion features and, you know, goat features and stuff like that. So, you know, just limiting yourself to lizard-like stuff, you end up with just a Gila monster, which, you know, are cool, but it's not really a dragon. So you have to have horns, and so horns kind of make a dragon look scarier. So now back here, let's throw some. See, I'm going to throw stripes on here. I'm not going to keep them as stripes, but those are going to be guidelines for where I'm going to put the scales. So as I draw the scales, I'm going to kind of just do these simple fish scale shapes for back here for now, because why not? Just to give him that his back is all fish scaled, and then under his chin here he's going to have some of these, like, wider, more flat scales like you see on an alligator's belly, and that should come in like so. Let's clean up this jaw line here. So we'll bring the jaw down, we'll let the teeth pop out of it, get the teeth in here, and I need to switch my pencil because I need sharp. Get in here and throw that area of skin or muscle, that connects the upper jaw to the lower jaw. So right in here. You don't see that on people, but you'll see it on an alligator or sometimes on a lizard, or you'll see this kind of connective tissue here. And then here we'll put some more scales here just to make him look that much more threatening. And around here we can throw little ones around his eyes. Think about where you might have little wrinkles in your skin and where you might have larger areas of smooth skin. So I kind of work with that. So up near the eyes, I might have wrinkles and little tiny details on the skin, but then over on the cheek, it's like a nice big flat area. So here I'm just going to throw some larger ridges as opposed to the little ones. Keep the little ones for around things like the eyes and such. Hi, Robert. Everyone else is so quiet. I'm asking people to ask questions, but no one's doing it, so. Oh well. So this week was supposed to be Gen Con starting on Thursday. I was trying to get myself ready for the Gen Con online experience, and I just don't know how I'm going to handle it too well. So in a way, doing this dragon guy is kind of like, oh yeah, let's get hyped up for Gen Con. Do something Dungeons and Dragon-y, I guess. And yeah, it's just weird not being able to go out there to Indiana to all the Gen Con people. If you're wondering, Gen Con is the big gaming convention of the year, and it happens in Indiana. And I usually go and have a table there, and I meet tons of people and have a great time, hang out with other artists, hang out with my friends and stuff. So it's kind of disappointing not to be able to do that this year. So now right here we have a problem. This all kind of looks like flat, and I want to make sure that this area down here looks separate from this area up here. So one of the things I want to do is I'm going to erase that a little bit, and I'm going to accentuate the lines on this part, and then make these lines a little thinner and less important looking. And as you can see now, there's a big nice separation there that wasn't there before. So anything that's in the foreground, I want to have a bolder mark on the edge of, so that the things in the back look like they go backwards. So like this, in order to really clarify that, you need to make sure that it doesn't have the same line weight, as they call it. So here I'm gonna simplify this area here. And we'll throw plates of armor. Why this guy needs armor, I don't know. I just thought, hey, lizard man armor, what the hell. So we'll give him some armor here, and maybe, you know, I don't know, what kind of armor does a lizard man wear? Leather? Reptile? I don't know. That would be kind of cannibalistic to wear reptile armor, I think. But, you know, maybe. I don't know. Put some horns on this here to just kind of make that look kind of cool. Or not horns, but spikes, maybe. What's my policy on lunch? What do you mean, what's my policy on lunch? Like, what do I feel? How do I feel about lunch? I like lunch. In fact, I didn't eat it today, and I really need to eat it. Today has been a weird day. So maybe that's why I'm acting so silly. So in here again, I'm going to do these kind of bigger plates of scales on the inside of his arms, and then on the outside here we'll do some more kind of classic scales out here. Same thing, underside of his arm, which is kind of what we're seeing peek out over here. I'll do the same thing. So we'll throw this like so, and then up here we'll have scales. And on the edges, one of the nice things to do is to really throw stuff on the edges out here. That really helps to sell the scales. Okay, that nose is bugging me. I gotta fix that. It just bothers me because it's just not bold enough. Let's get that. There we go. Sometimes you just gotta do some more finish on things before you get to the end. Just because it makes you feel better. As you're going, you know you're going in the right direction. I'll find myself doing that. I'll finish one part of the piece just to make me remember, oh yeah, I've got a good goal here. I'm still working towards that goal. Because if I don't, sometimes you just feel lost in a piece, and you can lose your place. Let's get this here, get these scales. And every once in a while, just throw like a random edge to the scale. So the scale sticks out like that. So you get that real sense that these are overlapping each other. Because you won't be able to get that sense when they're here, but you will get that out here on the edges. Sometimes I get really crazy heavy with my pencil lines. That's one of the reasons why I use the light box, because I can just transfer my drawing. So if I do really heavy pencil lines, I can just kind of redo it. I have trouble, like a lot of people I know, like my students, I'll be teaching students and I'll be like, don't draw so heavy. And then I go ahead and draw heavy myself. And part of that is just, it's just a habit. I just push down too hard on my pencil sometimes. I think part of it's just getting excited about the drawing, and I don't know, but trying not to do that as much. So let's get this center of the body in here. You warned people to ask questions. You wanted people to ask questions, so you did. Yeah, okay, all right. That's quite a good question. So yeah, my policy on lunch is a question. I was thinking like art questions, but that's fine. What do you think my, next time if you want to ask what's my Middle East policy, or, what's my policy on school lunches, I can do that too. I don't think I have a policy on school lunches. I think everyone should eat lunch. So he has these weird bird hips up here, kind of gave him that thing. So we're going to have a belt hanging down like low under that. It's got a low hanging belt. Some nice thin fun lines there, and then this is being the center of his body here, the crotch area. We'll just throw some pants over this. I know, pants on a lizard man, but how else is it going to go and get served at a restaurant? He doesn't have shoes on, so he's got to wear something. No shirt, no shoes, no service. Maybe in D&D land they're okay with no shirt and no shoes, but they definitely have to have pants. Well, at least I'm entertaining myself. I hope you're all laughing at my stupidity here. So just drawing the pants in, I'm just basically kind of thinking about each area like this. Like this is a pinch point where the cloth comes together. So you just pull it out, allow it to come and stretch outside here. Where a piece of material is pulled across, like here, it flattens. So on the top of the leg, it's going to be flat. And then as it goes under or around something, it's going to get folds in it. So you don't need to have folds here, because that would be too much. You want them just at these pinch points where the cloth is coming together and being wrapped around something, where it's changing directions, essentially. I'm just going to tone that down, because I really want to make sure the head feels like it's popping off the page. All right. Okay, so now this knee, let's get this knee in. We'll get back to these feet. Let's get this hand taken care of. So I want it to look like it's scaled. So I'll put some ridge scales on it, like so, just like you would have on a lizard, alligator hand or paw, whatever, claw. They have these kind of long, thin scales that go around their fingers, paws, whatever. I don't know. What do you call an alligator hand? And then here, what we're going to do I'm imagining these guys have 3 joints just like we do. So you'll have the joint, the knuckles here, and then the second knuckle, and then the third knuckle here, and then the claw out here. So you'll have one like that. This one, same thing, first knuckle, but we're going to be doing foreshortening. So the second knuckle might be here, the third knuckle might be here, and then the claw coming like this. So we'll see it kind of do this kind of a thing. Whoa! Bring this around like so. And then this one here, maybe we'll do the same kind of thing. We'll bring this claw coming like, we'll have knuckle. This one's coming toward us, so there's going to be an overlap. Knuckle and then claw down here. So we'll go knuckle, 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 claw. And then we'll have the thumb come out to a knuckle. And out to a claw. So, hey Dave, how you doing? Hey Jason. Now we can get that hand set up. This doesn't feel quite so comfortable because what's going to happen here is you're going to have one finger going up and another finger coming down. So see how that works? This finger is going to come up and you get the skin kind of pulling like that. And this one's going to be pulling down. So you can get this kind of push and pull on there. Always, erase those structural lines so you can draw in here. Hi, Laura. And then here we can start throwing scales. Hey Chris, how you doing? And then up here we'll throw, this feels really awkward to me, so I'm gonna, looks like kind of a little too fishy, so we'll kind of spread these scales out. Maybe too cartoony is the problem. So let's erase some of them, just kind of give it a little bit of more of a sheen. By not drawing all the scales and just kind of accenting it with scales, you kind of give it more of a sense of naturalism. If you draw every scale, it just looks too graphic and too obvious. Change that a little bit. I'm going to move this down over here. There we go. Now we got to get to these feet. Hey, Chris. Oh, I already said hi, Chris. Hope you're doing okay up there in Baldwinsville, I think you're in, up near Syracuse. get this guy here. Are you doing the Gen Con online thing this week? Chris? So these I'm trying to make it feel like alligator toes. Maybe give them a dew claw up here, why not? I'm sure they don't have, well, lizard people maybe have dew claws, I don't know. I know alligators don't. Oh no, you didn't put in at all. Oh, that's a shame. I don't know though. I think next year it might be better. This year's kind of weird. I don't know what the Gen Con online thing is going to be like, doing it without having any interaction with people. That's my favorite part about it. It's meeting people, talking art with everybody. Hi, Ted. Maybe we should have a fantasy artist meeting of upstate New York, because there's a whole bunch of us up here. There are people in Rochester, people down here in Syracuse, people in Ithaca, some people down in Binghamton. Might be cool. So now we've got most of this guy taken care of. Now I can clean up some of this stuff in here. Yeah, seriously, upstate represent, man. I get a little overhanded or heavy-handed with this stuff sometimes, so I always have to go back in and erase it out. And now tail, right? I don't know what it would be like to have pants that had to have a hole for a tail in them. I guess it's kind of like underwear. Men's underwear. So now let's set this in a little bit of ground here. We gotta have it ground down here. So let's put a little shadow under these toes. Make it nice and solid here. Thanks, Paul. And then let's imagine that he's sitting back, so his hips. Well, that would be where his hips are. His hips has to cast a shadow, but his legs are wider than his hips, so his hips would be casting a shadow somewhere like here. And then coming back to that foot there like that. So the foot might cast a little bit of a shadow like that on the ground. And then we can bring this back to here. And then, think about some decorations. Sometimes when you do things like, you can put like a band around his leg like that. That kind of just adds to the foreshortening. It's a nice little trick to convince people that your foreshortening is correct. Things like bracelets. It's always hard. I always have trouble decorating characters. Like, what would this guy wear? I don't know. Would he have a necklace? I don't know. Maybe he's got like a necklace with a bunch of little things hanging on it. I just don't know. So I am always like, there's a bunch of D&D artists who are really good at decorating their characters. I'm not one of them. I'm always like, what do I put here to make him look fancy? I'm always more kind of involved in how do you make them look scary? How do you make them look like they're moving and alive and, and all that. So the fancy part always escapes me. I don't know. Just what you focus on, I guess. I just kind of focus more on the movement and the energy than the decoration. So my decoration probably lacks in a lot of things. Do I make posters? Like, what kind of posters? You mean like prints of my work? I haven't really done anything with these Monster Art School stuff, but I do have prints on my site. I have a big cartel site where I have prints of some of my pieces. I have a dragon piece. Actually, I have a couple dragon pieces. I have a couple other pieces that I have up there. So if I want him to really feel like, let's focus a lot on those eyes, what I want to do is I want to darken the area around the eyes. And partially, one way to darken it is just by adding texture. You don't even have to add shading. You can add more texture, and that'll help darken an area too. So basically, the more lines you put in an area, the darker it appears, the more value is in that area. Hey, Hunter. So we can darken that up. We can bring this around like so. Let's make the material of his armor a different material than his skin. So give it a different value. So it's darker than his skin. And maybe we put some highlights on that. So I'm going to think about light coming this way, like down like so. So this arm is going to cast a shadow across his body like this. And whenever I'm drawing stuff that's supposed to cast a shadow, I have to think about the form that it's casting a shadow on. So I want this shadow to kind of wrap around the forms. Similarly over here, this arm is going to be coming over his body, so this is going to cast a shadow down here like that. And in fact, to be completely honest about it, I'm going to have to throw a shadow here to make up for that hand sticking forward. And let's tone this back so we can see the different planes of his hand. Because what we want to do is you create the section that this is the top plane of his hand, this is the side plane of his hand, the front plane of his hand, so it's a different plane on the hand. So it's really thinking about drawing in a three-dimensional way. So you can really create those volumes. And then, yeah, in here this would get dark as well. And so look for areas where shadows will start to collect and connect to each other. So if there's a shadow here, there's likely a shadow here as the body starts to tilt in, and that shadow probably continues all the way down to the tail. And so you get what's called a shadow shape that forms this entire region of shadow. So rather than thinking of it as a lot of little shadows, it's a big area of shadow that goes all the way like this. And that's just thinking about how the bicep muscle connects in underneath here. So I'll shade in there and have it bulge out over here, and I'll do the same here. So we get that bulge of the bicep. Shade under this knee here. Bring it around like so onto the cloth. And then this would probably cast shadow too. And so would this be cast in shadow in the underside of the foot. So now, I mean, that looks pretty good. I think we're, dropped my mouse. It's pretty much done. Anybody have any more questions? I'm happy to answer them while I just touch up some last few things on this guy. Maybe erase a few things. I'm happy to answer any questions about drawing, about comics, about fantasy art, about illustration, about business of art, any of that stuff. I'm happy to answer questions as long as I know how to answer them. Well, okay. I guess since no one's asking any questions, everyone's so quiet, I'm gonna probably boogie now. And I hope you had fun watching me draw. I hope some of you drew along with me. That's always the coolest thing when I see people drawing along with me. And I will see you tomorrow, hopefully. Same bat time, same bat channel here on Facebook. I might be moving over to Twitch. I keep threatening to do that because I'm wanting to kind of try out another audience. So I might be moving the next one over to Twitch. We'll see how that works. Okay? How do you balance comics versus illustration? Okay, I can answer that question. It's terrifying. No, it just, it's funny. It's easier. I think it's easier to balance comics and illustration because then I always have someone who's potentially out there looking for someone to do work. So, I just pitch my work out. It's sometimes really hard because people like to pigeonhole you into one or the other. And so like for a while there, I wasn't getting any work through the D&D guys or the Magic guys because they had pigeonholed me as a comic guy, even though I'd been doing D&D stuff previous to that. But now I'm doing Magic again, primarily because they want me to do the comic style. So it's kind of a funny thing. And then for a while I was doing comic covers that were fantasy based. So I ended up creating a kind of a crossover audience between the two different businesses, and it's really just trying to keep up with both is the hardest part. There's someone at my door. Yeah? Oh. My daughter is yelling for me, so I should probably go. I don't know what she just said, but I'm gonna boogie. But hopefully that answered your question. If you want to talk more about that, Chris, I'm happy to talk more about it. Okay. I'll talk to you later, everyone. Have a great day.